Hello everyone, hello and welcome back. Part 2 of Romeo and Juliet. So, let's get cracking straight away, shall we? Like I said, yesterday's important. Today and yesterday, really these bits set the tone, introduce pretty much all the key characters and let us know what's going on. So a reminder, set in Verona, in Italy, a city-state ruled by Prince Aeschylus, but he got a problem. The Montagues and the Capulets, the two most powerful families, hate each other's guts. Don't know why, doesn't matter why. The important thing is that they do. So, we have got a situation where there's riots breaking out in the streets. Aeschylus has said, next time this happens, I will execute the people who started the fight. Ooh. You've met Romeo, who is the son of Montague, remember? Family trees up there to help you get along, and colour-coded badges on the character names so that you can remember if you want to look which one's which, and I'll change those characters depending on who's talking. And Romeo is in love, but he's not. He fancies this girl called Rosaline. He has not even spoken to her. Please. But, yeah. He's convinced himself it's love. He talked a lot of rubbish yesterday, lecturing his best mate Benvolio on what love is. And he doesn't have a clue. Shakespeare deliberately writes it badly because it's nonsense. Okay. It's time to meet the Capulets. And hoo-hoo, what a dysfunctional bunch they'll turn out to be. But at the moment, it all feels normal. As I said yesterday, we'll see more of the Capulets actually than the Montagues. And they're used to show a patriarchal society. Elizabethan England, despite the fact that the king was a queen, was a patriarchal society. If you look at a lot of the ways that Queen Elizabeth had herself portrayed in statues and in paintings, she wanted to look more like a strong man. She was trying to portray that to put people off the idea that she was a weak woman, which is nonsense, of course, but in those days, that's how they saw it. And she never got married, and there are some who argue that was a clever political move by her, because in a sexist society, the moment she got married, she would immediately lose authority to her husband, who would become, if not literally the King of England, certainly would have a lot of influence. So, okay, Capulet family is a patriarchal setup. Capulet, Lord Capulet, is at the top. His wife, Lady Capulet, and Juliet very much beneath him. They take his orders. There's an interesting other character, the nurse. She is Juliet's nurse. Posh people, they have the kids, and then they don't want much to do with them. So, they would pass them on to a nurse. The nurse will be a woman who has had a child at roughly the same time as Juliet is born. In this case, as we learned, that child has died as an infant. But that means, of course, that she can breastfeed. So Lady Capulet basically will plonk Juliet over onto Nurse, and Nurse essentially becomes her mother figure. Juliet gets to see Mummy for maybe meal times and formal occasions. But Nurse is the day-to-day person raising her. She's a comedy character. You might just enjoy her. Quite a lot of people do. Anyway, before we get to that, there's this little interesting scene. It's Capulet, Juliet's dad, walking down the road with a posh lad called Paris. And Paris, Count Paris, is a member of the aristocracy. This is a guy who'd be a good one to marry. He posh. Capulet is thinking, oh, okay, he is a good catch, and Paris says he wants to marry Juliet. Has he really talked to her or met her? Doesn't appear so. It's more, again, Juliet's, his Capulet's child, so Juliet's a possession. He can give her away. But as you'll see, Capulet has got some reservations. So let's have a look at what happens. So Capulet and Paris, and a servant. Okay, and we'll get to him in a second. He's going to play a key part in this scene. But let's have a look. Capulet, servant, Paris walking on the road. So Capulet first. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, Capulet first, of course. You can't see it down there. But Montague is bound as well as I in penalty alike, and 'tis not hard, I think, for men so old as we to keep the peace. Of horrible reckoning are you both, and pity 'tis you lived at odds so long. But now, my lord, what say you to my suit? But saying o'er what I have said before, my child is yet a stranger in the world. She hath not seen the change of 14 years. Let 2 more summers wither in her pride, ere we may think her ripe to be a bride. So basically, the suit that Paris is talking about is his offer to marry Juliet, and Capulet's saying, he's not saying no, he's saying she's a bit young. She's only 14. Give her a couple more years before she's ripe to be a bride. Okay, right. Elephant in the room. We need to talk about this now. Please bear this in mind. This is important. Pupils sometimes get sidetracked by the age of Romeo and Juliet. Juliet, well, she's not yet seen 14 years, so she's 13. Romeo, oh God, my mind's gone blank. Isn't he 15, something like that? This is a love story between Romeo and Juliet, obviously. Ooh. But remember, in those days, people died a lot younger, and therefore life happened to them earlier. People got married earlier, people had kids earlier. So this is not meant to be weird, as it would be in modern society. However, they are a bit young. Imagine, if you will, a couple of, say, 17-year-olds. I mean, would you really advise 17-year-olds to settle down for life at that point, or should they get a bit more experience first? That's how you should see it. It's equivalent of like 17-year-olds. It's legal for them to get married, but should they? Are they not rushing into this a bit? Okay, so don't get carried away down their children line. Paris comes back at Capulet. Younger than she, a happy mother's maid, and too soon marred are those so early made. The earth has swallowed all my hopes but she is the hopeful lady of my earth. So all my other children have died. She's my only hope. Some women get married early, Paris is right, but they are ruined by it. And then he encourages him and says, chat her up. But woo her, gentle Paris. Get her heart. My will to her consent is but a part. And she agree, within her scope of choice lies my consent and fair according voice. So, okay, so to be fair, saying, chat her up if she's really keen. I could listen to her. And then he tells him about this party they're having tonight, where he can meet Juliet and get a chance to get to know her, perhaps. Yeah. This night I hold an old accustomed feast, whereto I have invited many a guest, such as I love. And you, among the store, one more most welcome makes my number more. At my poor house look to behold this night earth-treading stars that make dark heaven light. Such comfort as do lusty young men feel when well-apparelled April on the heel of limping winter treads. Even such delight among fresh female buds shall you this night inherit at my house. Hear all see, and like her most whose merit most shall be, which on more view of many mine, being one, may stand in number, though in reckoning none. Come, go with me. So come to the party, enjoy yourself. It's going to be epic. We're going to make the night sky look bright. Lots of light and dark imagery in this play. And so come along, mate. And then he turns to his servant and says, Go, sirrah, trudge about through fair Verona, find those people out whose names are written there, and to them say my house, and welcome on their pleasure stay. So he sent Peter off with a list, the servant. A list of guests, go and invite them. Trouble is, Peter's a servant. Widespread schooling in those days? It's a bit like Britain in lockdown. No, but on a permanent basis. So poor Peter can't read. He's got to go around and find people and tell them to come to the party tonight. But he can't read the list. Bless him. So he's got an issue. Find them out whose names are written here. It is written that and then he goes into a joke section here of stuff that doesn't make sense. People who have jobs but they're using the wrong instruments, which is because he can't read it. So as he's concerned, it may mean all these things. Notice how it's not in verse. When the posh people speak, iambic pentameter. Each line split into 5 parts, which are 2 syllables long. But he doesn't. He just talks. because he's not educated. So Shakespeare, showing through his use of language and organisation of language, an insight into characters. Find them out whose names are written here. It is written that the shoemaker should meddle with his yard, and the tailor with his last, the fisher with his pencil, and the painter with his nets. But I'm sent to find those persons whose names are here writ, and can never find what names the writing person hath here writ. I must to the learned in good time, so I've got to go off, and I've got to find someone clever who can help. Hello, Karen, by the way, just saw your message. Got no chat yesterday, and the first one today, yes. Anyone else out there? I'm happily answer questions as well. Anybody who wants to talk about the play. Anyway, let's get into his learned people, because luckily for Peter, Benvolio and Romeo are walking down the street. And they're chatting around about, well, I'll show you. Tut bad, one fire burns out, another's burning. One pain is lessened by another's anguish. Turn giddy, and be helped by backward turning. One desperate grief cures with what another's languish. Take thou some new infection to thy eye, and the rank poison of the old will die. Oh, sorry, I didn't put it up. I love this. He's there. Get rid of your love for Rosaline. It doesn't say in the most romantic way. Replace that illness with a different illness, and then she'll be gone. Yeah. If you get a new infection in your eye, and then the old poison will go. Okay, fair enough. Your plantain leaf is excellent for that. For what, I pray thee? For your broken shin. Why, Romeo, art thou mad? Not mad, but bound more than a madman is. Shut up in prison, kept without my food, whipped and tormented, and good end, good fellow. So he's there banging on, this miserable emo Romeo. I'm stuck in prison because I'm in love. But then up comes Peter. God give you den, I pray you, sir. Can you read? Aye, mine own fortune in my misery. Flaming out. Oh, you're gonna punch him in the throat, don't you? All Romeo wants to do is whinge and moan. Can you read? Oh yes, but I'm so miserable. Aren't I lucky I can read? But I'm sad. Oh, calm down, son. Perhaps you've learned it without book, but I pray, can you read anything you see? Poor Peter doesn't realise that Romeo's being a twit. Aye, if I know the letters and the language. You say honestly, rest you merrily. So because Romeo's talking in sort of soppy riddles and poor Peter doesn't realise it, he thinks that he's saying he can't read and he's going to walk off. Stay, fellow, I can read. And then he reads the guest list. And interestingly, we have got in there Mercutio, his best mate, and his brother Valentine, who never turns up at the party. And Rosaline. Oh. Rosaline, it says, is the niece of Capulet, actually. So Rosaline's going to be at the party. And remember that guy? Tybalt, the psycho. Interesting combination. Yeah. And so Romeo asks a fair assembly. Oh, it's a good bunch. Whither should they come? Up. Whither? To supper. To our house. Whose house? My master's. Indeed, I should have asked you that before. Yeah, who's your master? Now, I'll tell you without asking. My master is the great rich Capulet. And if you be not of the house of Montagues, I pray, come and crush a cup of wine. Rest you merry. And he goes, okay, so there's a party going on. Rosaline's going to be there. Oh. Peter says, if you're not a Montague, come to the party. Of course, he is a Montague. At this same ancient feast of Capulet sups the fair Rosaline. Kill my microphone. Whom you so lovest, with all the admired beauties of Verona. Go thither, and with an unattainted eye, compare her face with some I shall show, and I will make thee think thy swan a crow. Okay, so Benvolio, oh, so I can press the button, has got a plan. Come to the party, all the beautiful women of Verona will be there, look at them all, and realise that Rosaline's not the only person in the world. Yeah? Perverts. No, it doesn't say that. Compare her face with some as I shall show, and I will make thee think thy swan a crow. So, and this is an image which we'll see You know, so quite regularly, like I said, there's this light and dark imagery, but there's also this contrast, black and white imagery. So you think your beautiful Rosaline is a swan, a beautiful, elegant bird, but she's a crow, a scruffy bird. Yeah? I'm explaining what swans and crows are for you. Romeo is sceptical. When the devout religion of mine eye maintains such falsehood, then turn tears to fires. I could never see her like that. And these who often drowned could never die, transparent heretics, be burned for liars. One fairer than my love? The all-seeing sun there saw her match since first the world begun. She's not having it. There's no more beautiful woman in the whole history of the world than her. Yeah, he's a bit carried away, isn't he? Tuts, you saw her fair, none else being by, herself poised with herself in either eye. But in that crystal scales let there be weighed your lady's love against some other maid that I will show you shining at this feast, and she shall scant show well that now shows best. So, come on, you saw her on her own. Look at her compared to other women. It does sound a little dodgy, doesn't it? But, yeah, come on, mate. Plenty more fish in the sea. I'll go along, no such sight to be shown, but to rejoice in splendour of mine own. Yeah? Alright, I'll go. Fine. But I'm not going to see anyone better. I'll just go on and just like look at her. Oh. Now, big key scene coming up here. We're now in the Capulet's house. So, we'll see a bit more of Lord Capulet, but Lady Capulet crucially. And the nurse. There she is. Lady Capulet. Nurse, where's my daughter? Call her forth to me. Now, by my maidenhead, a 12-year-old, I bade her come. What lamb? What ladybird? God forbid, where's this girl? What Juliet? It's a little interesting introduction to the nurse there. She's something else, she is. She's a comedy character. She's silly. She talks too much. And as a result of that, she can be quite annoying. She doesn't get to the point, and you'll see Shakespeare often use this for comedy effect. And even here, the first thing she says, remember that word yesterday, maidenhead? It means virginity. So she's saying, you can't just say, where's my daughter? She asks. Lady Capulet asks her. She can't just say, oh, I don't know, I called her. She says, oh, I swear by the fact that I was a virgin when I was 12 that I called her. I said, oh, God, everything's got an extra layer and an extra level of inappropriateness often. Look how she calls Juliet, or lamb, ladybird, or cute little sort of childish names. Like I said, she's the mother substitute. She plays the mother role. Yeah. So Juliet turns up for the first time in the play. How now? Who calls? Your mother. And so she turns up sharpish. Madam, I'm here. What is your will? Now look at what Juliet's like at the start now. Juliet is a nice, polite, obedient little girl. She does what her mummy and her daddy tell her to do. Alright? She does not show sort of any sort of rebellion at all. She seems very young, yeah? So she turns up and straight away the first thing that she says to her mum is, what do you want me to do? What do you want of me? Yeah? Like, she's in charge of her. This is the matter, and then she decides to get rid of the nurse. Nurse, give leave a while. We must talk in secret. And then she feels bad, and also maybe acknowledges, well, the nurse is her confidant. Nurse, come back again. I've remembered me. Thou hearest our counsel. Thou knows my daughters of a pretty age. Lady Capulet will regret this. She calls the nurse back and starts saying, oh, you know, she's getting older now. And the nurse will not let her talk, as she'll be talking nonsense. Faith, I can tell her age unto an hour. She's not 14. I'll lay 14 of my teeth, and yet to my teeth be it spoken, I have but 4. She is not 14. How long is it now to Lammastide? A fortnight and odd days. See what she's like? Waffle, waffle, waffle. Yeah? Nurse, she's like the Capulet. Basically, the Capulet says, nurse, you know, she's not 14 yet. She's nearly 14. The nurse says, oh, yes, I swear by 14 of my teeth, although I've only got 4, that she's not yet 14. And then she starts going on, and she will keep going on. In this next scene, she will talk about Susan, the baby who died, and also some of the reasons why she remembers the date of Juliet's birth. Some of which is rude. Prepare yourselves, my friends. I'm going in. And look at how long this speech is. Lady Capulet's got business to do. She's called Juliet to talk to her about Paris, but she can't because that nurse keeps interrupting. Even or odd, of all days in the year, come Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well, Susan is with God. She was too good for me, but as I said, on Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. That shall she marry. I remember it well. 'Tis since the earthquake now 11 years, and she was weaned, I never shall forget it, of all the days of the year upon that day. Oops, daisy, hang on. Oh, ooh. Pardon me a second. Weird. Software malfunction. Skipped on a couple of pages. Here we go. So basically, alright then, seems we're having a forced break. Yeah, so saying, oh yeah, I remember that she was weaned on the day of a big earthquake. So I remember that as well. It was 11 years ago. Weaning is stopping the baby from breastfeeding, which she does by putting a bitter tasting thing, wormwood, on her nipples so that the baby doesn't want to do that. And so she'll go into this in detail because she has no filter. She's just so inappropriate in the way she talks. For I had then laid wormwood to my dog, sitting in the sun under the dove house wall. My lord and you were in that mantua. Nay, I do bear a brain. But as I said, when it did taste the wormwood on the nipple of my dog and felt it bitter, pretty fool, to see it tetchy and fall out with the dog. Shake, quoth the dove house, 'twas no need, I trow, to bear me trudge. And since that time it is 11 years, for then she could stand alone. Nay, by the rood, she could have run and waddled all about. For even the day before she broke her brow. And then my husband, God be with his soul, a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, dost thou fall upon thy face? Thou wilt fall backward when thou hast more wit, wilt thou not, Jule? And by my holy dame, the pretty wretch left crying and said, aye, to see now how a jest should come about, I warrant, and I should live 1,000 years, I never should forget it. Wilt thou not, Jule, quoth he, and pretty fool it stinted, and said, aye. Oh man, she's just banging on and on and on and on, eh? It's quite something. Yeah, we are, okay. Sorry about that, my software seems to be acting up a little bit. Anyway, I should be back on now. I'll just check, yeah, looks like I am. So Blinkeneck, the nurse, then talks about her husband. Oh, yeah. So Juliet's starting to walk, and she walked up and she fell over and fell forward in her face and banged her head. And the husband says to her, oh, you'll learn to fall backwards when you're older. And Juliet's crying and walks off and goes, aye. And the nurse thinks, oh, isn't that funny? Yeah, she understood. She didn't, she's just making a baby noise. The husband's comment has two meanings, one of which is rude, as often happens in Shakespeare. One, he's saying just you're better off falling backwards. If you fall forward, you smack your face on the ground, you don't want that. Whereas if you fall backwards, you'd be, less likely to damage your face. Well, you're not going to damage your face. But it's also a sexual reference. You're a little girl now, so you fall forwards, but when you're older, you want sex, and you will fall backwards and have sex. Yeah, so, okay. Nurse, really appropriate in this situation, isn't she? Really helpful. And Lady Capula's sick of it. Enough of this, I pray thee. Hold thy peace, yeah? Be quiet. This is how the nurse is quiet. Yes, madam. Yeah, I cannot choose but laugh, to think it should leave crying and say, aye. And yes, I warrant it had upon its brow a bump as big as a young cockerel's stone, parlous knock, and it cried bitterly. Yea, quoth my husband, fallst upon thy face, thou would fall backward when thou comest to age, wilt thou not, Jule? It stinted, and say, aye. So, yeah, she had a bump on her head, the size of a young cockerel's stone. So she got a bump on her head, the size of a young cockerel's testicle. I've got to be honest, that reference is out of my frame of reference. I'm not quite sure how big a young cockerel's testicle is, and I'm not going to Google it to find out. But, again, this is her being quiet. Yes, I will be quiet. Oh, but I can't stop laughing. She tells the whole story again. Blinking heck. Bless her, Juliet tells her to be quiet. Stint thou to her, pray thee, nurse. Say I. Peace I've done. God mark thee to his grace. Thou wast the prettiest babe that e'er I nursed, and I might live to see thee married once I have my wish. Sorry. Marry, that marry is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married? Oh, Lady Capulet hitting Juliet with a big question, and Juliet coming back. Well, here's something that sums up her character in the early stages. It is an honour that I dream not of. Can you imagine? You're a young girl, your mum suddenly turns up out of the blue and says, would you like to get married? Wouldn't you say, Mum, have you gone mad? No, no. Juliet says, oh, I can't dream of how wonderful that would be. She's so obedient, isn't she? Nurse has kept her mouth shut as long as she can. An honour. Were not I thine only nurse, I would say thou hast sucked wisdom from my teat. Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you here in Verona, ladies of esteem and already made mothers. By my count, I was your mother much upon these years that you are now a maid. Thus then, in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love. A man, young lady, such a man, as all the world, why, he's a man of wax. He's a model perfect man. Verona's summer hath not such a flower. Nay, he's a flower in... Oh, it's gone mad again. Hold on a sec. There we go. Nay, he's a flower in faith, a very flower. What say you? Can you love the gentleman? So, Lady Capulet stepping in, making the offer. You'll be amazed by Juliet's reply. This night ye shall behold him at our feast. Read all the volume of young Paris's face, and find delight writ there with beauty's pen. Examine every married lineament, and see how one another lends content, and what obscured in this fair volume lies, find written in the margins of his eyes. This precious book of love, this unbound lover, to beautify him only lacks a cover. The fish lives in the sea, and 'tis much pride for fair without the fair within to hide. That book in many eyes doth share the glory that in gold clasps locks and the golden story. So shall you share all that he doth possess, by having him, making yourself no less. So, go to the party, look at him, he's amazing, see what you think. It's ironic, isn't it? Both Romeo and Juliet are going to this party, they are going to look at people romantically. I wonder if it'll turn out as planned. There's no less, no bigger. Women grow by men. Speak briefly. Can you like of Paris's love? And here we come. Here's the thing. Juliet, obedient little girl that she is, says this remarkable thing. Again, can you imagine you doing this? Bob out of the blue says, please will you fancy this lad? You can fall in love with him. And instead of Juliet saying, will you get stuffed please, mother? She says, I'll look to like if looking liking move, but no more deep lie and dark mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly. This is remarkable. I will try to like him because you told me to, and hopefully that'll make me love him. But I won't love him anymore. So the party's about to kick off. Romeo's gone there with another agenda. He's been told by his mates, look for another girl, plenty more fish in the sea. Juliet's gone there with another agenda. Eye up Paris, see if she can love him. Will it turn out that way? There's only one way to find out. Join me for tomorrow's stream. Same time, same place, 10 o'clock tomorrow. Any questions, if you want to slap stuff in, please do so.